What's going on, everybody? It's your boy E. I'm here tonight with a little bit of a sports take for you guys. The other day, man, I was actually listening to the radio, and this time of the year it gets kind of tough because a lot of people on sports radio they kind of run out of ideas to talk about, which I get. You know what I'm saying? NFL is not going on. MLB is really just kind of getting started. Nobody really starts paying attention till around June for MLB stuff. NBA is coming to a close because we're now getting ready to get into the finals. But one of the things that a lot of people want to talk about this time of the year is their all-time top five. And I don't really necessarily like to do a top five because each position in the league calls for you to do something different. A center is not asked to distribute the basketball the way that a point guard is, even though Jokic right now is just beyond crazy. Embiid is the same way. He can actually come up the floor with the ball and make things happen for his offense. So what I like to do is I actually like to say that I will give you my top five based off of position. The other thing that I like to do though when I do this is I need to stress to you guys that my list is always going to be based off of who I've seen play. I can't sit here and tell you how great Bill Russell was because I never watched Bill Russell play. I can't tell you how great Wilt was because I never saw him play. Kuzi, all the guys from back in the days. And I'm not taking anything away from them. I mean, you performed during your era. It is what it is. I mean, the stats are what the stats are. The game is completely and totally different now than it was even in the 80s when I started watching basketball. I really started picking up, basketball probably I'd say around 84, 83, 84, and been watching it pretty much ever since. So for me, I break everything down by position. I think that's the only fair way to actually do it. I think that is the easiest way for me to sit here and be very honest with you guys in regards to the way that I actually do things. So, with that being said, we're going to kind of move into what my five would be. And y'all need to let me know what you think, man. I mean, if you want a top five list, I can't give it to you because again, I don't look at the game that way. I look at the game from a positional standpoint. So because of that, I'll give you my starting five. We're going to start off at the point guard, and for me, Magic Johnson is that pick. I don't think that you can really argue with Magic. I mean, you can definitely say that there are current guys in the league that do a lot more from a point standpoint than what he did. He only averaged about 19 and a half points the entire time that he was in the league. But y'all got to understand, man, that in the 80s, the game was totally different than what it is now. For him to do what he did, when he did it, and how he did it, that was the thing that kind of set for me Magic apart from everybody else. He did have 4 years there in the middle of his career, right in the middle of his prime, where he was actually out of the league. But 12-time All-Star, 10-time All NBA, Rookie of the Year, 3-time MVP, 5-time champion, 3-time Finals MVP. I mean, you can't really say anything about it, man. I mean, the dude is the epitome of what a point guard should be. Distributing the basketball, getting everybody involved, moving the ball around the court, and the way that he came in with the flash that he came in on, that right there, man, like I can't stress to you guys enough that, he did stuff that nobody had ever seen before. You know what I'm saying? All respect to Pistol Pete. Magic was just different. He was 6'9". You know what I'm saying? You never seen a dude 6'9" handle the ball like that. 6'9" dude back then was down in the post. The dude jumped in a deciding game in the NBA Finals at center. Come on, man. He was the first, I would say, true blue five position basketball player. So for my point guard selection, Irvin Magic Johnson. So moving right along, going to get into the two guard here. I really don't think that anybody out there can say anything in regards to the dude that I have here. My selection for my shooting guard, none other than Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You say whatever you want to, man. You can make your argument. You can say, he's the GOAT. You can definitely throw stats around to make certain other individuals in the league out to be the GOAT. But this dude did something for the league that nobody had ever seen before. I mean, his career scoring average, man, he averaged over 30 points per game for his career. That is the first, if you would. He leads the NBA in all-time career scoring average. But the thing that really set apart Jordan for me was the fact that he led the league in scoring 10 seasons, 7 years straight. But it's the defensive stuff that he did while he was actually on the floor itself. The way that he actually handled it, I mean, his fourth career in steals, you know what I'm saying? So, but he was the defensive player of the year in 87, 88, if I'm not mistaken, 9 times all defensive team. I mean, Jordan just did what everybody nowadays kind of struggles to do. The defensive game back in the day was a lot different than it is now. Nowadays, there's a lot more freedom. You can't hand check anybody. You can't be physical with people and stuff like that. You always want to take a guy and look at what he did during his era and try and figure out whether or not it would compute to today's game. Jordan would average 37 points a game. The 3-point shot, you got to also remember this, 3-point shot was not a big thing back then. I mean, he only averaged, I think it's like 30 some odd percent from the 3-point line because nobody shot threes the way that they do now. You had certain individuals that specialized in shooting threes, yes. But when it came down to it, Jordan was a beat you off the dribble, get to the foul line, go into the hole. Of course, everybody's seen all the highlights, all the dunks and everything like that, man. I mean, the guy, he's a highlight waiting to happen. The way that he changed the game, the shoe game, the way that he actually transcended the sport was that next step, if you would, in evolution from what Magic and Larry had actually brought the NBA into. So Jordan is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, my number two. He did have a clone, God rest him, but Kobe Bean Bryant, man, that dude was something special. If Jordan played any other position in the NBA, any other position in the NBA, Kobe would be that two guard, just because of what he did, how he was, and that Mamba mentality that he had. So I did at least want to shout him out because I don't understand how anybody could not put Jordan in that position. But Kobe Bryant was the closest thing to Michael Jordan I've ever seen. So moving right along into our next position, we're looking at small forward. This one was actually a little interesting for me because there are a couple of different people that could actually fill this role, if you would. Um, but for me, my selection for small forward for that three position is the king. What else can you say? LeBron James has been in the league for 20 years. He's been an all star for 19 of those years. He's also been 19 times all NBA. That kind of stuff is just crazy, man. But the thing with him, man, like a lot of people forget, no, he's never won a defensive player of the year, but he has been on the defensive team 6 times. He's 4-time MVP, 4-time NBA champ. He's been in the finals, you know what I'm saying? 4 times finals MVP. I mean, the biggest thing to think about with him, man, is that he actually went to 8 straight NBA finals. Now, yes, the knock against LeBron is always going to be what his finals record was. And I get that, you know what I'm saying? You can't go to the finals 10 times and only come out with 4 victories and not have people say things about you. But to me, just as Kobe Bryant was a comparison to Michael Jordan, coming out of high school, I never thought that he would compare to Jordan. He was the next evolution of Magic Johnson. He was that big man who could bring the ball up the court. He was the big man that could literally run the offense. Scottie Pippen was the exact same way, but the way that LeBron plays the game, as big as he was, you know what I'm saying, and the position that he played, he was just as dominant during those Miami Heat years as any NBA player in NBA history. You can literally make that argument. You can have that fight with whoever you want to. But while he was with the Heat, and yes, I get it. I understand. Wade was down there, Bosh was down there. I look, I get it. But the way that he actually transformed his game, where he just became at some points just unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? And with the way that he still at this day, he's 38 years old. And in the game the other night, I mean, what did he go for 35, 40 some odd points against the Nuggets in the closeout game? I mean, you can say what you want to about him. You can make whatever argument you want to. I think that Jordan is probably still the best player that I've ever seen play this game. But when you have a guy that is literally first in career points, fourth in assists, and ninth in steals, you know what I'm saying? He's too far down the board. I think he's in the 20 range, if I'm not mistaken, for career, between 15 and 20 for career rebounds. But that's just ridiculous for a guy that is as big as he is playing the position that he is. So for my three, I got to go with LeBron James, the king. So moving into my number four, and this is kind of where some people are going to be okay with this list and some people aren't. But again, this is my list. This is what I see when I look at basketball. These are the guys that, for me, were the best at their position. And that's the reason why I said I can't give you a top five list because each position is asked to do different things. What I can do is I can give you a starting five. So moving on to the power forward position for me, my favorite power forward of all time. They didn't call him the big fundamental for no reason. I mean, when Shaq came out and actually said that Tim Duncan was the big fundamental, it just made sense. I mean, I never seen dude in all my life take as many bank shots as he did. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that his numbers knocked you out of the park. I mean, he averaged 19 points, about 11 rebounds, 15-time All Star, 15-time All NBA, 15-time All Defensive Team. Okay, let me say that again. 15-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA, 15-time All-Defensive Team. 5-time NBA champ, 3 times final MVP. When he got into the playoffs, his numbers did go up just a little bit. Like I said, he averaged 19 and 11 during the regular season. He went for about 21 and 11 in the playoffs itself. He's sixth career rebounds, fifth in blocks. Um, he played the game the right way. He went about his business. He stayed in San Antonio the entire time. He actually took a step back later on in his career. Didn't average the same amount of points that he used to, but I mean that's common. That's going to happen. You can make arguments here for Karl Malone, especially from a scoring standpoint, what he did while he was in Utah. But at certain points during his career, Tim Duncan was one of these players where every single night you just look at the box score and he did the same thing every single night. You know what I'm saying? He averaged, I think, 2 blocks per game for his entire career. So for me, yes, the championships help. Yes, being a 3 times final MVP, it helps. But the 15-time All NBA, 15-time All Defensive Team, you say whatever you want to, man. Tim Duncan is my power forward. All right, so moving into the next position, we're going to go ahead and get this thing finished up. And my number five, my center, um, he tormented centers in the 90s. He really did. And so for my five, for my center, for my all-time starting five, I got to go with Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, when the Dream was in the league, he was going up against the likes of David Robinson, Dikembe Mutombo. He was going up against Alonzo Mourning. He was going up against Patrick Ewing. It was an era of centers. And at that point in time, he was arguably the best center in the league. Late in his career, he wound up actually playing against Shaq as well. But the thing with him, man, is like he averaged about 22 points a game and 11 boards for the regular season. Led the league in rebounds twice. He averaged 14 rebounds per game at one point in time. And he averaged 1 year in 89 and 90. He averaged 14 rebounds per game. He averaged 4.6 blocks per game. 12-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA, 9 times All-Defensive Team, 1 MVP, 2 Defensive Player of the Years, 2-time NBA champ, 2-time Final MVP, first career in blocks. I mean, you can make an argument for other centers, you know what I'm saying? 12th career in points, 14th career in rebounds, 10th in steals. But for me, when you watched Hakeem play and you watched his footwork and you watched what he did with the basketball and with the size that he just became unstoppable, man. Like he tormented the Knicks during that finals run, and it killed me to my soul because I really thought that Patrick was going to get his ring that year. But I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? He outplayed him, and there's going to be arguments. Yes, Shaq was probably the most dominant center that I've ever seen play the game. Um, you can look at the league now and you can say, okay, you got Joker, you know what I'm saying? You got Embiid. While those dudes are solid, man, the game has changed. The game has moved outside of the paint. For the contemporaries that he faced night in and night out during his tenure while he was in the NBA, Hakeem, to me, again, footwork, what he did on the boards, what he did on blocks. Again, the guy's 10th career steals for a center. You know what I'm saying? So for me, Hakeem winds up being my five. So to kind of round things out, what we're going to do is we're going to actually jump in And I'm going to give you guys, I mean, look, to be honest with you, you can make whatever argument you want to. Give me Magic, give me Jordan, give me LeBron, give me Akeem, give me Timmy, and I'm fine with that squad. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Y'all understand that? I'm fine. You can come up with whatever starting five you want to. Mine's going to match up with it fairly decently. You know what I'm saying? But this is the beauty of lists like this. This is my opinion. This is what I believe. This is what I feel. This is what I like. You know what I'm saying? Um, but to show some love to the current NBA guys, what I did kind of do, and I kind of put together for you guys what my current favorite starting five is. I like the way that the game's being played now. Yes, I grew up watching ball in the 80s and the 90s, you know what I'm saying, the early 2000s. That rough style where, you go into a game and the final score is like 86 to 79. You know what I'm saying? It was very physical. As a Knicks fan, you know what I'm saying? I had Oakley, I had Mason, I had Xavier McDaniel. Like I had some dogs on that squad. You know what I'm saying? Never won anything, but I still had some dogs on that squad. You talk about the bad boy Pistons and things like that. I mean, I grew up in that era of basketball. So very, very physical. So the game has evolved. The game has changed. The rules have changed. And because of that, you have a completely and totally different game now than what you did when I was growing up watching ball. So with that being said, to give love to the current crop, if you would, of NBA players, my current starting five, I got to go with Dame. Dame is my favorite player in the league. I love the way that he plays ball. The dude he's just a monster. You know what I'm saying? When he steps on the court, he's in range. You know what I'm saying? Dame time is a real thing, so you better believe it. But Dame Lillard, he is my favorite player in the NBA right now. Devin Booker, I love the fact that this he's just not afraid to take a shot. You know what I'm saying? He gets to his spaces. He can create his own shot. Mid-range game is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? At the three, I got to go with my man Tatum, man. I mean, I know that he hasn't exactly been playing well, you know what I'm saying, right now in the Eastern Conference Finals. But for me, that's who I got to go with. At the four, I put Giannis there because he's a big man. And while, yes, he's one of these guys right now in the league that can play, you know what I'm saying, all five positions. The dude, once he gets up ahead of steam, if he ever develops a 3-point shot, man, he's going to be unstoppable. And then I got Joker there in the middle, man. Jokic and what he's been doing this season, what he's been doing over the course of the last 3 years, he arguably could have been a three-time MVP consecutive. But you got to give Embiid his flowers this year, man. The dude balled out. But Jokic has an opportunity right now going into the finals to actually average not only a triple double for the entirety of the NBA playoffs, but also a triple double in each of the 4 rounds, you know what I'm saying, that he will have played in. So I don't remember ever seeing that happen before. So I know that he catches some slack because his game isn't exactly the prettiest thing to watch. But when you sit down and you actually watch basketball, and if you're a true blue basketball fan, then you got to know this dude can play. You know what I'm saying? Take all the antics out of it and everything like that. The dude, he can distribute the basketball, he can rebound. I wish his defense was a little bit better. I'm not going to lie to you about that. But as far as the way that he plays the game, I just love watching the dude play, man. The dude he's a monster. You know what I'm saying? Triple double after triple double after triple double. And it's not like they're out there trying to get him triple doubles. He's just getting them. I've seen passing big men before, but he's just on a different level. But the way that my current starting five lines up against, what your current starting five would be, I don't know how things would line up. You know what I'm saying? But that's the fun of debates like this. I want to thank y'all as normal for coming out and joining us on the pod. We got everything right here for your boy. But also make sure, man, that you're following Ren. Make sure that you're following Royce at their tags as well. And lastly, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you're following us on all the social media, IG, Twitter, at the Homie Trinity Podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel on YouTube. And then we're also on Apple Podcasts. So again, as always, man, appreciate y'all, man.